Here's a little challenge for you. You can download this file. The link will be in the description below. We've got a table of people, okay, different dates and different groups. Maybe these are training courses. And here's the people's names. Now, we've got a pivot table that then presents those grouped by date and by group, and it shows the group size, okay? And we're saying the maximum people in a group is 6. There we've got 6 people. But check this out. What if our rooms can only hold 3 people? Right click, refresh, and now magically the pivot table says, okay, well only 3 people can fit in a group, so we've got to have a second session, so there's Jackie. All right, and if we move, let's say Alan, okay, moves into group C on the 16th. Now there's already 6 people there. Right click, refresh. And again, Alan now ends up in a session on his own. Hopefully some other people will join him. How did I do this? Okay, have a go yourselves if you want, and then I'll show you how I approached it. All right, let's go. In this video, we're going to cover off a few different features and functionalities. There's Power Query with GroupBy, MODULO, integer divide, and then we're then using the data model to write a CONCATENATEX function in DAX. So a whole bunch of lessons all in this one example. All right, hope you enjoy it. So the concept here is that we are going to have a number of positions, a maximum group size, okay? So we're going to have to reference this, and we need a field that has the sort of count. So that's one little challenge. And then if the group is bigger than the maximum group size, we're going to have to spread that out onto a second session. So really the trick here is working out this position number and this session number. That's where the challenge is, and that's where Power Query, some glorious Power Query stuff, is going to come in really useful. We're going to look at a modulo and an integer divide. All right, sounds a bit freaky, don't worry. So here we go. How do we do this? Right, let's click on this table, and whenever you create a table, always give it a name as well. So table design up here, I'll call it TBL bookings. Okay, let's call it TBL bookings for want of another word. Okay, and then right click, get data from table/range, and off we go. We're into the wonderful world of Power Query. Now, sometimes Power Query can be a little bit weird if you're going to start grouping things together and stuff, and the sort order gets a bit lost. So the little technique to lock in this sort order. Now, I don't want to sort it alphabetically. I want it to sort in the order people have been added, so that if somebody's added later, you know, they get put in the next group. So I'm just going to go add column, index column. All right, nothing fancy. It just sort of locks that in. Okay, I'm then going to group. Oh, actually, I'm going to go back to this day as well. Go back to the change type, quickly change this to a date. Not that it really matters, but I don't need time of day. Just annoys me a little bit that Excel defaults to that. Replace current. Okay, so here we go. We've got the day, we've got the index. So I'm going to group everybody into the day and the group. And then I can add a little counter to say they're the first person, second person, third person, etc. And that'll be their position number. All right. So here we go. And also give me a count of how many people are in each group, which is one of the requirements. So I've got those two selected. Right click. Okay, group by. So we're grouping by day and group. I do want a count. Yeah, I actually want that. And then add an aggregation called, I always call it data. You can call it whatever you want. And I want to keep all the records because I need to keep those later on. All right, so click OK. So what that now does is give you this count And in this little table, I've got all the data grouped together, okay, which is perfect. Right, then I want to add a nice little running index, because that looks like it's running. But look, if I go to the next query, it starts at 4, 5. This is just 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this is just the sort of the index that was already there. I want just a running total for each group. So I'm going to go to the custom column. And I am going to call this it's going to be the position number. Move this out of the way so people can see. Okay, so the position number is just going to be an index. So we're going to go, if I start typing the word index, because I can never remember what it is, I think it's table.addIndex column. There you go. Right, open the bracket. I want to add it to the data group. Starting, the new column is going to be called maybe the group index, or the group number. Okay. And actually this new column name, sorry, other way around. Let me do this. This can be called anything. This is going to be random. This is just going to be called custom. Okay. This new column is going to be the position. Okay, we want it to start at 0 and increment in ones. And if I click OK, we should now have 0, 1, 2, 3, and then the next table, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, sorry, the next table, 0, 1, 2, 3, or when I say table, next group. Perfect. So that's all I need. I just need this one and that one. Right click, remove other columns. Okay, and then I can just expand out everything except the index. That was that initial index column, and click OK. So there we've got the position and the count. All right. So from this position 0, 1, 2, 3, okay, here we've got it, nice little running total. But what about this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? So if somebody goes over the 3 limit, I want that to sort of start again, because they need to be in a different row as well. So they're going to be sort of 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3. Or so you get the idea. So that's where the modulo comes in. So with this column selected, position, you can go to the standard under add column, and you can do a modulo. All right. And the modulo, I'm going to type in, hard code in the 3 for now. We'll make that dynamic in a second, and click OK. So what that now says, let's focus on this little section down here. It says the first person, that's person 0. Okay, that's the way Power Query likes to work. Okay, then the second person is person 1, 2, and then the third person, person 0. Okay, but that 3 is actually the fourth person. I know it's confusing. It's because it starts at 0, but it just works easier this way. And then it starts again. And the way modulo works, it's the remainder after you divide by a number. So 4 divided by 3 is once. 3 goes into it once, and then there's 1 left over. That's what that 1 is. 5 divided by 3 goes in once, and then there's 2 left over. 6 divided by 3 goes in perfectly. There's 0 left over. Okay, so that's how the modulo works. And then, it's not a very nice name, so I'm going to actually rename this as position number. I should have just called that group index or something. That's okay. Okay, position number, that's a nicer name for it. And I then want to add 1 because it's just easier to read on the pivot table, the column headings. So I'm just going to go click on this and transform standard add, and I'm going to add a 1. Okay. So there's the position number. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and so on. 1, 2, 3, never more than 3, okay, because that's what I'm saying the group size is. Like I say, I'll make that dynamic later. Okay, so if someone's above 3, like this 4 or 5 or 6, they need to go in a different group. That's where integer divide comes in. So I'm going to go back to this column, add a column, standard, okay, divide by integer. And what that does, I'll show you now. I'll divide by, again, the 3. And we'll make this parameter later. Okay, divide by 3. Is it basically says, okay, let's say I'm looking at 5 here. 3 goes into it once, and there's nothing left. You know, that's it. Okay, it's almost like the opposite of the modulo. 6, 3 goes into it twice. 3 goes into it once. 3 goes in, like anything like 0, 3 goes into it 0 times. So this integer division is really my group. So let me just change the formula. I could just double click on the heading. All right, so I'm just going to change this to, okay. So now I've got a session number. And again, just because I don't want it to be on zeros, I'm going to go to the transform menu, standard, add 1. So this is now my sort of group, my sessions within the groups. I need the count. I don't need this one anymore, so I can remove that. And I'm just going to call this, let's call it attendee data. And I'm a big fan of making sure my column headings are all good. So Control A, sorry, my data types, and then transform, detect data type. Okay, it's got it right. Date, text, text, count, position number, session. Looks good. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is I need to load this to the data model because I want to display the names in the values field of the pivot table. So, and you can only do that in the data model. So home, close and load 2. And I'm going to load those records into the data model. So here we go. Load as a connection into the data model and click OK. Why do you need the data model? Because to display the text in the values field, you need to use a little DAX function. It's very simple. It's called CONCATENATEX. It's like very short. Okay. So we're going to go to, let me go to a brand new sheet. Okay, and this data is now loaded into a pivot table, into the data model, so I can go insert pivot table from data model. Click on OK. All right, so my schedule data was from my previous demo, so just ignore that one when I was just testing it out, showing you the solution. Here's the one, attendee data. So what did I want? I wanted day in the rows. I wanted position number in the columns. Okay, I do not need grand totals, so I can actually go up to, I'll actually open this up properly. Pivot table, analyze. Okay, so design. I want the report layout to be tabular and grand totals off for rows and columns. Don't need them. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring this over. People don't realize you can detach the side panel. Freaks people out when you do that, especially if you put it over here on the left. All right, that really messes with people's minds. Okay, so I've got that. So then I also want the group underneath the day. I want the count for the group. I want the session. And then I just need to put the names in. But if I put the name in the values box, it just gives me a count. Right? That is not what I'm after. I do not want a count of the names. So what do you do? Well, with the data loaded to the data model, I can create a measure that actually joins together all the different text. And because there's only one person for one position in one session, only one name will show up. So here we go, right click, add measure. This is only possible if you've loaded your data to the data model. Okay, add measure. Measure name will be something like name of attendee. And then the function, okay, is CONCATENATEX. The X functions are what are known as iterators. They run down a table, joining, well, the concatenate one joins together every row of a table. Okay, the table is called attendee data. Okay, that's what it's running down. And for every row, you want the attendee data name, okay, with a comma. And you want to join it together. Not that the comma matters, because we're not actually going to join together any. They're all going to be unique, because there's nobody's in the same session at the same time for the same group. Okay, but that'll do. Check your DAX formula. Looks okay. Okay, click OK. And here's your, oh, my spelling. Right, sorry, right click, edit measure. Sorry, apologies. Name of attendee. Click OK. So here's my name of attendee, and if I just tick that, there we go. We've got our attendees for each session. Now I don't want to repeat the row labels, so I'm going to go to design again. I am going to go to, where is it? Report layout. Do not repeat item labels. So there we go. And we've got the sessions and we've got the positions. Pretty good. Okay, that's what we're after. Right, how do we make it dynamic so that I can change the maximum number of rooms? Okay, so I'm going to create a little cell, and this cell is going to be called, click in this box here, the name manager box. Let's call it max room capacity, just to be different. Okay, 3. Okay, home, let me just go cell styles and make it an input. All right, so from this cell, right click, get data from table/range. So that is now bringing in that range. Okay, so there we have it. Okay, max room capacity. And if you right click and drill down on the number, you're then into what you need. That's the value you can use then in your code. If you reference this one, you can get this formula firewall warning. So to avoid that, there's a little step here, right? We don't actually need this change type step, so I'm just going to delete that. Okay, and you can see all it says is take the source and the first record, so bracket 0 means the first record. So I don't, from column 1, so if I go back to source here, there's column 1, grab the first record. So really I could go into this formula, okay, and I could say go to column 1 and grab the first record, record 0. And I don't need that navigation step then. Why do that? Well, because I've done that, I can just copy this code now. Go into my attendee data, go into the advanced editor, and then right at the top here, okay, we'll call this max rows, oh sorry, max positions equals, and then just paste that comma. Okay, don't need the double equal sign, let's get rid of that. So this is now a little parameter, and I can take that and I can replace the hard-coded 3s. So I had one down here, which was for the modulo, all right, and then I had another one here that was for the integer divide. And click done. And this all works. I don't need this anymore. Okay, delete, delete. This is still working. Okay, perfect. But it's now using this max positions. Okay, close and load. Here we go. That should all work nicely, should all wear away. Okay, and if I change this to a 6, and right-click refresh, we should now see it picks that up, and now we've got a maximum of 6 people in the groups. Whoa, what do you think? Oh, let me know in the notes. Always check out the description, leave a comment, love to hear from you. Plenty going on there. We can do all sorts of stuff with the pivot table. But modulo, integer divide, do you use those? You're going to find that useful? Let me know. Always check out the description to see if there's some updates or some comments, and I'll catch you in the next video. Before you go, you might want to click the button to subscribe or check out one of the playlists or videos. Thanks for watching.